Welcome back to the Midwest Coven Cast. I'm Marilyn, and today Sam, Susie, and I present the second half of our conversation about rituals, routines, and habits.
I remember at the very beginning we talked about ritual versus habit versus routine, and
Yes.
I think or habit to me is like something automatic, like something that you pretty much you're just in the habit of doing it, like riding a bike or like
riding a bike.
So according to
tying
Lexico.com, a habit is defined as a settled or regular tendency or practice, especially one that is hard to give up.
Yes.
But I think this brings in sort of the negative connotation too.
Yes.
Because a lot of times when we talk about habits, it's usually not considered in a positive way. Not always, but
like
more
bad
often than
habits.
not, it's a bad or negative thing. But honestly, I mean, we could talk about
brushing your teeth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, like, because, I mean, like you were talking about good versus bad habits. Like, some of my bad habits, I can admit, are I eat out more often than I like to because, and this has to tie it back.
Pandemic life.
Yeah, like, but honestly, this has to do back with environment. In pandemic mode, I mean, it kind of makes everything the way it is.
I have gone to a grocery store, I think, twice since the beginning of the pandemic. So, like...
Meanwhile, I work at one
cooking. Like, I can't... Like, we get, what is it? We get HelloFresh. So, that's kind of... We stop it every now and then because I'm trying to eat vegetarian again. So, it...
Good for you.
Like,
I want to try that.
If their vegetarian meals are kind of meh, then I don't subscribe that week. But I did just restart my Misfit Marketplace I'm supposed to get this week, so...
Nice. Let me know how that goes. Because I remember when you first started, it was good, but then when the pandemic hit, you said it kind of...
Yeah, so I started subscribing right before the pandemic because I was pregnant and I didn't want to go grocery shopping, you know, like... Yeah. And then the pandemic hit, and so we were glad to have it, but then since their,
shipping crap went
on, everything, like, fluctuated, everybody started ordering all the subscription boxes, especially the food ones, because they were home. And so...
Didn't want to go grocery shopping.
Yeah, and, like, they missed one order, and they never, like... I finally got the rebate for it, but, like, it just took forever, and it still shows that that box is shipping. Like, it doesn't even say that it's been canceled yet on my thing.
Oh, wow.
So it's basically poor communication / customer service.
They weren't ready for the amount of customers that they got, and they handled it kind of poorly, I think. So we stopped, and then this is our first one that we've gotten in, like, a while.
You said you are getting it, or you have already gotten it?
No, we're getting it, I think, Thursday? I don't know.
Okay. Well, keep us posted and let us know how it goes.
Yeah,
maybe they're getting them back on their game, you know. Maybe they figured this out.
This is not sponsored by them, by the way.
Yeah, no, sorry, but, you know, maybe someday. But no, the other thing that I was going to also say in regards to, like, bad habits, so I think, well, as far as environment goes, that's what I was getting at, was, like, the environment for me, it has everything to do with my bad habits, because drive-thrus are so convenient, the food is so delicious, that it makes it easy for me to do, and I want to do it, so I do it. Mm-hmm. Whereas, like, if I didn't have those things so easily and readily available to me, and they weren't so good, then maybe I wouldn't want to do it so bad. So, like, also, like, my lack of exercise, because it's not so convenient for me to just do that, because it takes time, effort, and energy. I don't go for those types of habits because they're not convenient and easy for me to do, you know? Because I know I'm going to be sore afterwards. I mean, granted, the short-term effect is what I don't like. I want to see the long-term effect, obviously. I want to be fit. But at the same time, I'm such a person that's living in the convenient now. I need my immediate satisfaction, you know? That it's like, it's hard to get past that, I guess. Because that's really what it all comes down to, is being able to see long-term. Sort of like this podcast.
Well,
like,
and just being exhausted, too. I think you're a new mom, plus you're working retail, like,
I work 40 hours
schedule.
A week. I also technically help at home with Mel, plus the afternoon mom. Plus
so at the end of the day, like, there's only so much more effort that you can put into the day.
Yeah. I mean, true. That is, I gotta at least give myself that sometimes, because I do try to do a lot. I gotta, what do I always say? I gotta calm down and focus. But no, just really quick, I'm going to finish up with the bad habits. Bad habits is eating lack of exercise, and I buy a lot of clearance at work. It's so convenient for me to buy clearance because
consume.
Yes, I'm such a consumer. I need to stop it. I think it's something that I like because I get a satisfaction at the end of it. I feel like, oh, I'm getting such value for this $1 that I'm spending. Look at what I'm getting for it.
You could just not spend
like,
$1.
Exactly. Like, why don't you like put that away and compound it and see what you get for it? Gee, that's an idea. Like,
so that's kind of like one of the things that like I started asking myself the same questions that I would ask in those situations, like with my TV and stuff. Is like I would ask myself, what value is this going to bring to my life, and like, is it going to be worth the time invested into it and the money invested into it? And if it's not worth those things, like,
why?
And that's why like I've been having this love-hate relationship with TV lately, because like, is it worth my time? Is it adding the value that it's taking away from the time that I'm putting into it? A lot
and
of
no
the
one
time,
looks at it like that.
Like
I mean, it's hard.
No, I think I'm just wasting like for the amount of like satisfaction. Like, yeah, it's like I can relax during it, but like at the same time, I can also relax reading a book to the kids, and it's just I don't know.
It's good to have a balance. I think like.
My mental anxiety in my head.
Well, I think as somebody who like studies, media and film and things like that, like I understand the appeal of it very much so, and I get sucked into them right now. But like I think right now too, even despite like I think technology just sort of tends to infiltrate our lives sort of in general. Like, I mean, even like when books came out and they had the printing press or whatever, you know what I mean? Like people were everyone reading and they were just like infatuated with the new technology.
This new information.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not a phone and stuff. I mean, it's just not like completely
but I think too
away from technology at all.
There are a couple of things that I think about in terms of how this works right now in our culture, because with everything that's going on in the world, I think that it's easy to use these sort of technologies as like an escapism sort of. Like it's easier to get lost in stories than to deal with like the realities of like the fact that we're living through a global pandemic, the fact that America seems to be going through some things.
America's hurting and broken and
needs help
and it's easier to escape into, even if it's like reality shows, quote unquote reality, right? It's constructed reality more than anything. But like, or like your favorite television show, even if you're just revisiting a television show that you've already watched or whatever, I think it's easier to like escape into those things right now.
Yeah, I agree.
But
especially
the other
when
thing,
people are in those states of mind, like in depression, like that is the like when I was depressed, that was when I watched the most TV. Like, I literally, like you said, I would escape into TV. Like I would escape into shows. I would just binge watch shows. And it made me feel better because I wasn't focused on my own life and my own problems and my own reality. I was in that reality, which isn't good because it's good to be in, like, it's good to escape from your own reality when you need to unwind and you want to be entertained. But like, I was doing it for like the wrong reasons. I was doing it to literally
it was a
escape.
Depressive habit or a depressive ritual.
It was. It was that habit.
I just fell to.
I feel like my bad habit would probably be like social media, and like I've been trying to like pull away from it more, but I feel like every time I pull away from it, I just make another excuse to be on it.
Well, and I'm sure this isn't helping now that we're like, let's get on these social platforms and promote ourselves. Like,
promote our podcast. But that's why you were like, well, yeah, you're free these days and you can promote it these days yesterday. And I was like, well, can I though? Because I'm going to be homeschooling. Like, I don't want to be on my social media. Like, I can do it like after 3 p.m.
Right. Well, I need to figure out a way to like condense it to be such a small task to where it's not going to be like
an all day or like a has to be on a certain time thing.
Like just whenever you get a free 15 minutes,
but like,
some stuff up.
I've been like Christmas shopping like crazy. So like, and I want to buy all the right things because I'm buying all the wooden toys and replacing all the plastic toys with the wooden toys and like the whole thing I'm doing.
Wooden toys are so pretty. I hate how
beautiful,
pretty they
and I want to make my own. Like so that I make excuses to spend the money. So that's I buy the toys so I can see how they're made, and then I can make my own.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's some legitimacy too because you are getting value from them because your child is also going to be using them and learning from them. So so
I'm buying like intellectual toys too. Like I'm like open-ended play is what I'm trying to shift everything to, and then I bought him like a little weather station, so like every day he can go and like play weatherman and like predict what the weather's going to be like by going and looking outside how it is in the morning. And like we've been doing the moon phases every night, so every night before bed we go and see where the moon is. Half the time we have to just look it up on Google because it's all hazy and we can't see the moon right now. At night we can see it better during the like morning time. The moon is still there, but at nighttime it's...
Did you see it the other night when Mars was able to be seen right next to the moon?
No.
Dude, I took out my telescope. Me and Corey were out there in the driveway like...
That was probably way past my bedtime.
I mean, maybe, I suppose. But, oh man. It's so funny because I got that thing for like $20 at a garage sale. It's been sitting in my garage for like however long, years.
So
and
your
years.
clearance habit did something good for you.
Yeah, like I hang on to things with these intentions that someday, and then sometimes that someday does come. So sometimes it's not all for naught. Oh, Marie Kondo, because remember you were talking about like how you're trying to find a way to not hate your TV, kind of.
Yeah, like I would love a hate. Really.
Have you guys ever watched Marie Kondo?
No.
On Netflix. So basically,
I think I watched a couple episodes. When I was like,
if it doesn't bring you joy,
spark joy.
Yeah.
So basically, the thing that I did get from her is the fact that her ritual when she walked into someone's house, what she did was she would sit on the floor in the most centered area that she could find, and she would like introduce herself to the house. Like it was an actual entity, like it was a spirit. And every single time that she did that, her clients, I swear, would get so emotional. I'm getting emotional thinking about it. But it's like, I feel like today, why is this bringing an emotion out of me? But I do feel like today
there was
this ape. Yes, we'll have to go into that someday we'll tell that one. But yeah, basically I fear that today and nowadays people put a lot more value in objects. Like I was talking about earlier. Like it's hard for me to get rid of things. Like even a freaking candle. Like why could I not have lit that thing and valued it when it was given to me? You know? I hung on to it for how long? 15 years before I'm just now lighting it. You know?
Why
like
it's so hard
silly.
that my mom is a hoarder and that she's like purging her stuff onto me. Every time she comes over, which is twice a week, she brings bags of things and she's like, I got these books for you, I got these wooden toys for you, and I'm like, that's great, Mom, but like we're also trying to be like minimalist. Like yes, I'm buying books all the time, but like I'm buying the specific books that intentionally buying books that specific ones. Love you, Mom.
Right. That's silly.
Listen to my podcast.
Yes. No. And you know what, honestly, and I don't think that you're meaning offense to your mom at all. Like I think that at the end of the day,
too. She's like, if you don't need it, give it back. And she's like, don't feel bad to hurt my feelings, but like it still hurts my feelings to like the guilt of like she's trying to do me a favor and I'm saying no to her, like
her help,
projecting her kindness onto me.
But no, I honestly see what you're saying, because, and I think I have kind of the same symptom that your mom has, where I have a shopping addiction, and I think that's where I suffer is with the clearance stuff, because I'm finding like, oh, I can get this and then I could potentially resell it to somebody else if I don't use it, or I could use it for myself and it's very valuable because I got it for so cheap. Like, you know, I get like this
consume.
Yes, literally, I am falling.
We live
for
in
the
a
thing.
disposable society too, where everything is viewed as you can throw it away.
And that's why I want to open up the eco-friendly shop, because seriously, I use paper towels, I use disposable things, like throw them away. The cloth diapering I just recently started getting into because of you.
No,
because
it's so good.
Honestly, it's so simple, and I don't understand why I didn't think put it up to be this big thing.
So
in my
I know
head.
you like spending like the big money, but like I'll invite you to some like handmade diaper groups, and you'll fall in love. Like I just bought 2. I bought like a Spellbound one, which has like witchy crap all over it, and it's like hot pink. So like Trevor's gonna be like, "Oh, you put that on my boy," and whatever.
Yes, I did.
Beautiful. It's an amazing diaper. And,
you know you love it.
Yeah, and then I got one with little monsters on it, and like the inside is like they're super exorbitant too. Like he never wets through the handmade ones. Like I know you get what you pay for.
Yeah, I've only gotten I think one package so far of the ones, and I think it came with like 8 or maybe.
Yeah, and they probably most of the ones that you like buy in multi-packs like that, they would come with microfiber inserts, which
I have those, but I also bought bamboo.
okay, so bamboo's a lot
I haven't
better.
used those ones yet, though. But
Yeah.
honestly, I haven't had too terrible of a problem with the microfiber ones.
Okay, she
So-
must not wet that heavy then.
I think
Or,
that
like,
I
you-
change her frequently when I do
Okay.
put her in those, just because I'm aware that it is a little bit less of. Well, honestly, it's not though. I thought that it was
They're-
going to be less absorbent, but they're not. They are very absorbent.
They're very
like,
absorbent, but like the problems with microfiber is compression. It's like a sponge, so like once it absorbs, if she were to like walk
Squish,
and then
it's
squish
gonna-
on her bottom, it's gonna like
Squish
and
out.
then squirt out a little bit, you know.
Right.
So
Whereas with a pamper, it's just kind of squishes and
yeah,
adjusts
well, like with the bamboo
diaper.
though, the bamboo holds it differently. Where like it's not more spongy. Like it's just
Well,
I
and
don't
with
know.
like
I gotcha. though.
with
It-
disposable diapers, that's usually like a
a
liquid gel.
Yeah.
chemicals.
Yes.
Chemicals.
Yes. Well, and I mean, I get the convenience factor of, the blue line, you can see it, you know they're wet. But there's been times where I'll go and change her when it has a blue line on it, and it's, like, not even all that wet. Like, she might have, like, dabbed just a little bit. And
like
it's like,
just
well,
got
there-
where the line is.
Yeah, like, I guess I have to change this diaper now and waste one. And then also, like, it's not hard to tell when a cloth diaper's wet. I
So
mean,
do you
can
keep
feel
her,
it.
speaking of routines, do you have her on like you change her every so often, you feed her every like a routine feeding or sleeping or anything
don't
scheduled?
yet. I have every intention once I am done with work and I'm just at home to do something like that. But
Yeah.
because I'm not at home on a regular basis, I just kind of
It's
go
hard.
with the flow.
Yeah.
I have a rhythm.
Well,
that
I
have to
am
go.
home.
No, I'm just kidding.
I am home all the time, and yeah, like I don't have a schedule.
It's
We don't-
hard with
and I
kids,
feed on
like-
demand, and I comfort nurse, and like so he's just on my boob whenever he wants all the time. Like if he's hungry
mean-
or just he wants to cuddle, you know, like and.
Yeah.
I think when we're that young, though, I know that people think, oh, coddling and blah, blah, blah. But at the same
Yeah.
time, like, I think that when we're young, we need to have that knowledge that we have someone in the world that cares enough
We'll
about
hold
us
that
like
space
that.
for us.
Yes, because that's what people don't have, and that's why they get led down these paths where they're untrusting of people, where they just act out on things that they, you know,
Yeah.
like if you're cared for and you're loved and you're supported, like,
Well,
that's the best thing.
Like I said, like we've been so quarantined that like the love that like we as a family give him, that's the only love he's felt in his whole life so far because he hasn't met a lot of people, and
Yeah.
Right.
so
Well, and it's sad too because I know this might get a little sensitive and maybe I'm assuming, but I also kind of feel like, unfortunately, because of just the way that society is, they don't necessarily give him the empathy that he kind of deserved as a kid. Because I know that, like, he was hyper. Like, for instance, when we would go to, like, Robin's Nest.
Dylan.
Yeah, like, I feel like there were times, even me, like, I would get a little bit like, oh my gosh, why doesn't he just sit down and listen or whatever, you know, and at the same time, it's like, you know, it's easy to say that and think that when you're not a parent and you don't know yet, but, like,
Yeah.
once you are a parent and once you, I don't really even know it to that level, obviously, yet, but I'm sure mine's coming, but it's easy to now
she's got that
know.
look in her eye though. She's gonna she's gonna challenge you.
Oh yeah, she already does. She really does. Like, oh man, she's gonna be a little shit. I already know it. But anyways, I do feel like at times though, like, because like the love that he has been shown, it like from school is what I'm kind of more or less getting at. It was like
Yeah.
when, you know, he should have been in a more supportive environment, not such a resistant, you're doing things wrong, bad boy type of thing. You know, like
Well,
that's not love. That's not support. That's not.
That could be a whole different episode because that's to me like the whole public school system where it wasn't really their fault because they're required to do it a certain way,
Right.
but that certain way was completely opposite of what he needed. And like me
Yeah.
as a parent, like I wanted to pull him out sooner than I did, and I didn't really have the confidence to, but like just this pandemic gave me the push to be like, okay, this is the time, this is
This is
we
what he needs,
yeah.
and this is the right thing for our family.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that's
and-
like one of the huge downfalls of public education is it's so underfunded right now that really, if it was more funded than it was, you could have more teachers and less students per teacher.
and that
then
individual attention.
more individualized attention. And
which we're going to get into on our next episode, I think, right?
yeah, I think we're talking about
Before we
education
delve too
next.
far into all that.
Yeah,
I think
because,
that's on our
reel
schedule.
it back in.
yeah.
So do any of you have any work habits or rituals?
Oh, God. I can go for days, so I'll let y'all go first.
So obviously this is not really what's happening right now for me, but because of pandemic life and I'm not seeing my students in person and all of my stuff is asynchronous at the moment. But one of my routines I always had in the classroom was I did always take attendance because it helps me to know like when I should reach out to a student who's not coming or like whatever. But every morning I would say the student's name, and like if they would say here, I would say good day or hello, like to each individual student.
Yeah.
Because I feel like even amongst like the large classrooms that we have right now, I think even just that moment of individual attention is so important.
It's
took like, it would take like maybe 3 or 4 minutes for me to do roll each time I did it, but it was worth that time just to like give each student like
your individual
a moment
voice
of individual attention,
and then give you their just like yes, I agree. That's a very important thing to have. Is that.
But other than that, I try not to live by any rituals or regularity.
Other than that,
I mean, like, yes, I need to get things done, but kind of like you guys, I have like more of a rhythm.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a planner in the sense that I feel like my anxiety will not allow me to like just go into new things not knowing what's going to be happening.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I like to have some flexibility in when and how things go down to a degree. Like I want to know that something's going to happen. I want to know approximately what that's going to be, but I want some flexibility in when.
Yeah, that's
does that make sense?
Well, and I think that my structure comes from having my job, my 9 to 5 structured job, because although I am on overnights, I'm not 9 to 5, but whatever, that's another. But anyways, I think the reason why I'm so set on a structure is the fact that that's how I've been trying to reframe that job for myself to be positive, is the fact that, hey, this job provides structure for my life. I am able to, have my getting ready for work routine, which keeps me hygienically healthy, obviously, because I always shower on my days I go to work, but sometimes on my days off I choose to skip it. I'm not gross, but I do it when I need to do it on my days off, but if I can skip it, it's kind of one of those things. I'm sure we all do it.
New mom life, pandemic life,
that's
whatever.
Right. I mean, I'm not gonna be we do it. We
social
all do
distance.
It. Yeah, social distancing. You should be 6 feet away from me anyways, motherfuckers. But anyways, so yeah, that's one of the ways that I'm framing the fact that the job actually gives me structure, is the fact that, I get ready, I go in, I do my thing, I'm actually active, I'm socializing, and then it also gives me time to do my meditations. It gives me, like, some structure to time things out and to make sure that I have things going on and rolling out. And then, the only other reason why I think that's a really good thing for me is because of this book that I read recently, Atomic Habits, by James Clear. It talks about how, like, in order for a habit to truly stick, you almost have to already take an account of what your habits and what your routines already are. And then you can kind of say, okay, like, for instance, me with my bottle of water. Well, I didn't have that as a routine or a habit, but now I do because I set myself up to. So, like, what he suggests is that, like, if you give yourself the right cues in the environment, like, for instance, when I get ready for work, I grab my keys from above the microwave. So if I put my bottle of water right there in my face, like, oh yeah, I gotta grab that too. Yeah. That's the first cue for me. So I grab my water bottle, and then on my way out the door, I have all my ice either in my freezer in the house, or I have my freezer outside that I have my ice in. It depends on how big the bag is. If it's big, then it's outside. If it's little, then it's inside. Anyways, and then I have my bottles of water in either place. So I always fill my bottle of water up with the ice. I grab my bottle of water, which I know is kind of bad too, because I shouldn't buy bottled water.
I don't drink city water. Heck no.
But anyway, so yeah, I basically try to set up my environment to make sure I do the habit and that it's easy for me to do the habit because it's already rolled into something else that I'm doing. That's, I think, the biggest part that's helped that habit stick. And then same with, like, my meditations. When I would go on break, I was already going out to my car. I was already scrolling endlessly through my Facebook feed and doing something that wasn't really beneficial to me anyways. So why not reframe that same habit into a better habit? So that's why I meditate every time I go on break now.
I need to come over and go through your rocks with you. And
yes. I wanted to ask you about if you could help me go through and actually find the good ones, help me charge them or cleanse them. I don't know about that stuff. So I would love to.
Yeah. So in some ways, these come down to well-being for you then, too. Like a well-being routine or habit or ritual.
Yes.
Because, water, obviously, and...
Yeah. Oh, and so that's what I was also going to get at, was my fifth one was work out every day. So I told myself, I'm like, okay, so what is it that stops me from working out?
Stretching isn't your workout?
Well, stretching I feel is more or less like yoga,
Okay, like, that's a workout. Have you done yoga?
Yeah. Okay, here, hold on. No, I just stretch. I don't do yoga yet.
The whole time.
I don't do yoga yet. So what I do is a basic routine that I actually adapted from the Aldi Corporation. So when I worked at Aldi's, every single day as a team in the morning before we would throw our loads, we would all do this stretch together where we would stretch our legs, we would stretch our arms, we would stretch our hands, we would stretch our backs, everything before we would throw the load. Mm-hmm. And it was so quick and easy and simple that I was like, you know what? Why don't I do this for myself every day anyways?
Yeah.
So I did.
Just a little team warm up. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But we don't do that at my work. And so people are freaking injured all the time. No, I'm just kidding. But at the same time, I did not do that for myself.
Maybe they used to, because like they used to do it at Walmart, and I don't think they did it when I left Walmart. And I think same with Target. Like they decided that it wasn't value company time, and you were suggested to stretch on your own before you clocked in.
No, that's on company time. I stretch on company time. I do after I punch in. Like, well, it depends. Not all the time. If I've already stretched when I first wake up, which is initially what I usually do. And, I mean, sometimes I vary it. Sometimes I do a real quick, just really fast one that if I'm not in the mood to do a full-on stretch. But then sometimes I'll put on a yoga video and I'll actually do a full-on yoga routine on my day off. You know what I mean? So it just depends on the timing and times on the place and the mood that I'm in and how much effort I really want to put into it. Right. Sometimes I skip it, you know. But here's the thing. I have that calendar that I hold myself accountable to. Mm-hmm. So every day I pass that calendar, and if I'm not putting an X on my box, I feel disappointed in myself almost. So I always am trying to put a little X on that calendar and fill in all my X's. So I'll take a picture of the ones. So I have my, you know, my meditation ones are all good, and then you get to my workout one.
Why are you making yourself feel bad on purpose?
Well, I'm not, but I'm just trying to keep myself focused, I guess, because I've had these wants and these desires to build these habits in my life for such a long time that I've never had the drive to actually follow through. Yeah. And now that I have the drive to follow through, I feel like if I keep on doing it's going to become
slowed down a little and focused on less of them at one time, because
that's what I'm discovering.
You started at 5.
That's what I was getting to.
And now you're not keeping up, and now you have guilt about it. So
well, here's what I was getting to. So basically, now that I have those calendars up, right, I'm noticing that I cannot spread myself that thin. Some of them are very easy for me to roll into, and I'm going with those ones, but I'm not prioritizing, say, the working out one. That's what I was just going to say. So if you look at my calendar, you'll see X's on all my affirmation days, on all of my meditation days. Then you'll go to my workout calendar. You'll go to my workout calendar, and I got 3 X's on it. So
do you stock at your work, though? Like,
sometimes.
Don't you work? Like, isn't that a workout? Like, how many steps do you get in?
I agree. I am active. I do agree that I'm active, but I don't do what I would consider a
exercise.
Yes, like a toning routine. That's what I kind of want to get to the point back, because I remember back when I used to like say work out at a facility.
So you need everything to be like matter-of-factly, like your schedule has to be a schedule and your exercise has to be
I prefer
a ritual
that.
Is a ritual.
I prefer that.
She has more rigid standards.
Yeah, like I am I'm a perfectionist at heart. I truly am. And you know what it all stems from is the fucking Sims. Every time I would build a Sim,
there's like a whole series of episodes, girl. We should do that.
We need to. We'll get Steve to come in on them. Oh man,
I'll have very little.
I can bring Ryan over. But... Oh man, me and him used to build some badass shit on the Sims.
I couldn't get past like making the house because I was too detail
oriented. That was our favorite part. Oh my god,
going online and buying like custom content.
Consume.
That's where it all started too. That's where I loved the mindset of I want this big.
But I had to get all the I had to get all the cute clutter for my houses. They had to like have the best outfits and like the detailed the like cereal boxes on top of the refrigerator.
Yeah, the little
there needs
things
to
in
be
the closet.
clutter.
Well, it was so funny because I never built closets before, and then they put in there an ability to have closet accessories. So now I felt the need to build closets in my house now. Like what the fuck? Yeah, consumerism.
Remember when they were all just square houses, like our basic, like 9 squares, like
now you'll go in, you'll see these like intricate pools and all these levels and these basements, and it's like
so like whereas some people get their unrealistic house expectations from like HDTV, you guys are like no, it's from The Sims.
Yep, and it's both. It was both for me.
Well, and our unrealistic expectations that will ever be promoted in our lives. Like
you never know.
They work hard, they get promoted. They go to their jobs happy and they get promoted. But me, no, 7 years at Target for not one promotion.
You know what though? Even having been a person that got the promotions and I demoted, you know, and actually I'm happier now, I have to say, because the other day
I'm so glad I like up and left they're on my own terms.
We need to talk about that on a whole nother episode
Yeah.
too.
Oh, yeah.
We'll have a retail episode, y'all.
I already feel like this ritual one is like 2 episodes already. Like,
It kind of is.
part
like,
1,
part 2.
part 2.
Yeah, we probably might need to be honest.
You've had a well-being routines. What about you, Sam?
Well, so we were going into this off camera yesterday, or off mic, whatever. But, like, for me, like, taking a bath is a huge ritual for me.
Yeah.
Like, I shower on a normal-ish basis for being a stay-at-home mom that doesn't go anywhere. And
Normalish. I love that.
what is
Here
normal?
I'm like, oh my god, I skipped 2 days a week. Sorry.
Yeah,
It's fine.
What's normal? Let's be honest. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like, but when I take a bath, like, there's a lot of intent and like stuff put into it. Like, I'll grab my crystals and like sit in front of like my altar and decide which ones I need to take with me that day. And like, I'll light my candles and my incense, and like, I'll go get my moon water and add that to the bath and like have
So
bubbles.
there's like someone honking like crazy outside. I don't know.
if that's coming over my
neighbors, or maybe it's like the train.
Yeah,
It almost
it
sounds
seems like it's a
train.
siren.
Yeah, it sounded like a
something.
fire truck or something to me.
Yeah.
I don't know, some type of wah, wah.
Maybe they're doing a parade or something. Anyway,
But
that's okay.
yeah, it's like if I
How do
take
they
a
do a
bath,
parade
that's a
during a
huge
pandemic?
thing. But like, and then I make moon water on top of, you know, I put that in my bath. So like moon water,
You make
Not-
moon water?
yeah, which
How do you do
you take water and you put it out in the moonlight, girl.
Oh, got you. Okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
you
after
let
I
it
said it out loud, I
charge.
was kind of like, oh, I
You let
think
well,
I can
and
assume
so
how.
and you could also make like sun water and that, like, because depending on like what you resonate
Then you
better
can collect
with.
rainwater?
Yeah. And so I usually use either just tap water or distilled water, because most of the time I make moon water, it's for my bath rituals, or for like, if I'm using it for my plants, then I'll use distilled water and like charge that for my plants, because otherwise they get really moldy from the water that we have because of the calcium that's in it. So
That is so interesting. Well, have you ever seen those, like, where they did the experiments with the water, the blessed water, and then they would actually view it under a microscope? Oh my gosh, this is some good stuff. So basically, I forget how many years ago I watched this video about I think they were Buddhist monks. And they would take water, they would look at it under a microscope, and it would look like an average sort of way. Or I think they froze it. I think they put it to frost. They froze it, and then the frost shape they put underneath of a microscope. And that's what, I'll have to look this up. I'll put some sort of a link to this, what I'm talking about.
On one of
Yeah.
our pages.
Yes. Came to find out was that, like, if a group of monks surrounded it and they, like, put their energies and blessed it, it became so beautiful when it froze. Like, it was so beautiful. And then if they, like, did some sort of, like, I forget what they did, if they just, like, kind of, like, cussed at it, or they just had bad intentions given to it, or whatever they would do.
like
bad,
negative. Yeah.
And then they viewed it after they froze it, and it looked like it just looked bad. You could just tell it was very shardy and very sharp and very rigid and very, like, I know I'm very animated when I talk, and my facial expressions are weird, but
I'm a 5-year-old. I was.
I just look over at Meryl
Shardy.
and look at her face.
It's because you said shardy.
Did I say shardy? Oh, yeah.
That is 100% what it was.
Yeah, they're shardy.
Oh my
Wow.
god. It was just all
Oh my goodness. But, yeah, it's all shitty. But
Wow.
anyways. But yeah,
Like
Oh my
this
God, I'm
candle.
sorry.
yes,
I'm
yes.
so sorry. Okay. Woo, focus.
Candle went out. But anyways,
Yeah.
yeah.
It did a little while ago. It's been
a
a
while.
Almost 2 hours.
Yeah, but no, I honestly, I was intrigued by that though, and it kind of reminded me of when you were talking about the different kinds of water. Like, it makes me
Yeah.
wonder if you were to freeze or like view that under the same type of a microscope, what moon water would look like, or what sun water would look like, or rainwater. Like,
Yeah.
I just kind of wonder.
Yeah, that's interesting to think that it's almost like the.
Well, there's probably definitely
water
different
got
things
their
growing and
energy or
eating.
Yeah, that's very true. Very
It could
valid.
be.
Yeah, I
I
believe
feel
in
like it was
energies for.
I feel like it was the
100%.
same water they took, and they, like, split it and then did the one and the one, and then
Yeah.
they reviewed it afterwards or something.
Yeah.
Or
Like,
did
I'll
they get
find-
water and
They
get
put
water
their
and then-
intentions. in
Yeah,
their
you never
intentions.
know.
Yeah.
It'd be
Good
interesting for
question.
me to review it and to rediscover what it
Yeah.
was, because it was so long ago again that I don't
Yeah.
quite remember all the details, but it was still
Yeah.
in concept to the different energies energies within water. So I'm so sorry. Back to your
So with
bath
we do the
ritual.
moon stuff, and then I also like charge my crystals in moonlight every once in a while. I haven't done it in a long time because I'm just a lazy crystal owner, and like they're covered in dust right now. Like,
Marilyn, you're terrible. But no, I honestly feel like
sorry.
I feel
What?
like
did I say something about mooning or something?
I was just to live.
that's so Marilyn's super mature, everyone. Sam just snorted. I love it.
I can't help it. I'm sorry.
Oh man,
Uh,
that's okay. It's all right.
but yes, your bath ritual. Continue. I'm
Yeah.
so sorry.
No, I think. Oh,
Are your
shoot.
crystals covered in dust right now?
They are.
Yeah.
That's what I was just going to say. Like, I'm a terrible crystal owner. Like, I
My
am
poor
worse.
babies.
So I think if I bring them, like we were talking earlier, you should help me like organize them and cleanse them, and
I was actually
I'm
thinking
excited.
about giving some that I don't vibe with anymore out to people just because I feel like they used to really resonate
You're
with
such
me
a
and they don't
shardy
now. Wow,
crystal.
Marilyn, come on, reel it in.
terrible podcaster. This is just.
Uh,
Let's edit all this out. No,
No, well,
I'm
this is
kidding.
great. We're not
I'm
editing
kidding.
none of that.
She's like, no.
okay, I'm so sorry. I'm trying to. Trying to bring it back in.
So I need to tell you to calm down and focus.
Probably.
First time, calm down and focus.
Uh,
All right, so bringing it back in.
Yeah, so what
We're
else do I
trying.
do? I don't know. I keep
So
getting
rituals.
interrupted.
Yeah, so
I'm
your
so
bath
sorry.
ritual.
I take baths, rituals, and I do
Do you
stuff
put
in
bath
the moon.
salt in them?
Yeah, we do. I do salt too.
So I remember at your blessing way when you gave us that salt, I
Yeah.
loved it. That was
That was so strong.
It was
like a
It was
little went a
strong,
long
but
way.
It was good though. I liked it. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Yeah, so
let's open up a whole beauty shop.
but
that
just like
includes
work
that, too.
rituals for like since I don't work, but I'm in
Ladies and
college.
gentlemen, my fridge has made an appearance.
Everything's so interruptive today.
Right? What the
But anyways,
heck?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Horn, Another bag.
So over the weekends is when I try to do it by Friday, but sometimes I don't get to it. But I try to plan out the next week's curriculum for Dylan so that I can order all the books and all the supplies that I need to do all the
Yeah.
crafts and all the experiments. Like I have it ahead of time, which I should probably be a whole week ahead of that because sometimes it takes like I have stuff from last week that still hasn't got here yet that was like a book or something because it wasn't coming from Amazon. It's only on like a third party that, takes a week and a half.
Maybe go ahead on some
And-
of the lessons you can.
Yeah,
and
but
then
like,
backtrack
whatever. We
when
just
you
go
need
back to it because like I said, they're more
Yeah.
storybooks than they are lesson books most of the
Go with the
time.
flow with that
Yeah.
rhythm,
So if
right?
we get a book late, then we'll just read it late and he'll still understand and
Yeah.
the concept but I try to do that over the weekends and then we read our everyday witchcraft book in the mornings before we start homeschool and then I try and light an incense or a candle at the beginning of our first homeschool lesson even though we don't have a time that necessarily starts at. We still light a candle, we say our witchcraft stuff in the book, we read that. I'll probably be nursing Leviathan during that because we do our reading at the beginning of the day. And then he usually I give him time to go play after we read the story in hopes that he's going to go and imagine the story and play it out with his toys, which sometimes he does, but sometimes he's still kind of struggling with it. That's why I'm kind of transitioning his toys into more open-ended things so that he can
be more imaginative.
yeah,
the way he
be
can
forced
be.
kind of into being more imaginative with it. So that
Like you were saying, Iron Man. He can only be Iron Man, but if you have a superhero toy, that superhero can have whatever capabilities he wants it to have.
Yeah,
It's a very
exactly.
valid point.
Yeah.
And I never thought about it that way before, I guess. So it's interesting that as a new mom, that's being brought to my attention because, I find it valuable.
Yeah, well, he's 8, and I'm just now seeing a different way, and this could obviously, if we're doing an education podcast, I could be part of it too. But for me personally, learning how to teach him and just teaching him in general, and learning as he's learning, I feel like that's healed a lot of my trauma, which makes sense to me now that learning new things and building new parts of your brain would heal the parts that were damaged during that process. I sat in my trauma for years, feeling the like need to learn, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
so my trauma stayed with me, and I feel like now that I'm like learning and growing and, you know, doing new stuff, that it's kind of like the trauma's taking like a back burner to me
Yeah.
again.
Honestly, like, I love that you put it in that way, because I feel like, although I have not necessarily suffered, like, too terrible of traumas, like, I think probably the worst trauma I've suffered from was being robbed, like,
Yeah.
at gunpoint. That was, like,
Yeah.
the most traumatizing
Oh,
thing,
that's-
you know? It was
pretty
scary.
traumatizing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you're like saying it like nonchalantly, like,
I
oh, I've
minimize-
only been robbed at gunpoint.
I mean, I've been
that's
robbed
a-
twice, actually. Only once was it at gunpoint.
Holy cow! See,
Yeah.
that's not
Well,
a
it's
little
kind of funny because I minimize it, I think, to myself, just because I feel that I have to, because otherwise it is kind of like...
Well, that's a
Ugh.
response to trauma. Yeah, you like.
But I'm not going to go there right
Yeah.
now. But at the same time, I do feel like I remember, like, when the other ladies at a store across town got robbed, they actually did go through some very traumatic stuff where they had to go and see psychiatrists and get all that handled by the business and stuff, and they never offered any of that to me. But I never asked it or sought it out either, so... I mean, it is what it is.
Well, they
but-
weren't going to tell you they'd pay for it.
Yeah, of course not. You know,
Yeah.
that's the nature of the game. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just funny that.
I
what
hate
was I getting
being
at,
young
though?
and in the workforce. That's
Yeah, you don't know.
You don't know like what you can ask for and what
Yes.
you have rights to.
And they, of course, exploit that.
yeah,
Yes.
they
So we're
manipulate
gonna-
you. So
We're gonna get
Yeah.
into that so much
Oh, yeah.
because I
I've been
totally
spanked by
wholeheartedly
retail environments.
Oh, me too.
Oh.
Yeah,
It's
well.
terrible.
Same.
But I, for some reason, kept bending over for 7 years.
I totally did. I'm still to this day. I mean, I'm trying to kind of resist it a bit more than I. Well, honestly, I'm getting out of it soon. I shouldn't say that I'm never going to be getting out of it, but it's
Yay.
coming soon.
Hope
In months
so.
to come, I cannot wait. Yes. And then hopefully in the long term, if this becomes something that would, potentially continue that path for me. But yeah, we'll be.
And I loved what I did, though. That was the frustrating part. Like, I loved what I did, but, like, hated the way it was ran and how management did things.
Yeah.
And
I'm the same
corporate.
way. I'm
They
the same
took the
way.
joy out of what I liked. Like, it wasn't a
about
bad
that.
job. Like, I
Yeah.
liked interacting with my guests. I liked helping them. I worked in the baby and infants departments, and, like, I got to find, like, their first outfit they were going to ever put on their
Yeah.
baby and, like, help them with that. And like the first crib,
It was
and like
meaningful work.
like
Yeah.
parents that don't know much about things, and like me, I was a mom, and plus like researching babies because I wanted to be a doula. Like I knew things about safety standards and like
your
things
average
that
retail worker next to you wouldn't give that
yeah,
value.
like
to
I was
a person.
passionate about it, and so
Well, honestly, like I'm not quite as personally passionate about what I do. I do enjoy what I do is planogram. It's just resetting the
Yeah.
stuff. Like you take down the merchandise and then you reset it to a new.
but
like,
something.
I
But it's
like that.
fun
Like it's
too.
a fun,
You get to see
yeah.
how it looks. And,
But unfortunately, just the politics of the whole environment
Yeah.
of everything has totally taken a dive, and unfortunately, it
Well,
results in
a capitalist
things.
society, the only thing the capitalist really values from the worker is the capital they can extract from them. And if anything you're doing is not conducive to that
line.
aim and, in line with the bottom line,
yeah.
then there's not really tolerance for
In time,
it.
they will
If
get
it-
rid of that.
If it means it's going to cost them capital, quote unquote. So,
Mhm.
so getting to know the customer, even though like logically that makes sense to keep the customer coming back, they see it more in the short term of that specific sale. Get them in the store, get them out of the store, shove the product in their hand and kick them to the curb, right? Like,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, some companies I admit do try to seem a little bit more long term, but yeah, overall for the most part, it's
well, and I think like some of what they say about how much they value the customer and or their employees is only rhetoric. It's not
face for the company.
It's face for the
Yes.
company. It's not actualized by their actions. I think it's like one of those situations where it's best not to listen to what they say, but to watch what they do.
Yes, and that's what I'm
Well,
noticing in my network. I pointed all those things out because when you onboard us, you tell us these things and you give us this whole spiel on what you're going to do for us, and then you don't follow through on your end. Like, that's not fair to us. And
How
that's-
does if your store had a disgruntled customer that was blaming something on the employee, how would your management like deal with that? Because at my store, they would reward the disgruntled customer by giving them a gift card, like, or free merchandise or a discount.
Because at the end of the day, they think that if they retain that customer, they look and they see how much that customer is, like you say, how much capital can they extract from that customer.
They're worth more
if
to
they
them than
turn them
you
away
are.
and they send them to their competition, they no longer have their dollars. But if they keep them there for that, say maybe $40, like for instance, there was one day I was very adamant about this pair of shoes. This man walked up to the customer service and had this dirty ass pair of boots that you could tell he had worn for probably a good month or two at like a construction job. He was a cement worker, he said. He admitted all this to us. He's like, oh yeah, I've been wearing them and they're the bottoms are falling off. They're like flapping. I can talk with them. I was like, well, sir, I was like, sir, I'm so sorry. Like, if you had just bought these yesterday and then you brought them back to me and they were already doing that and they were still in fair condition for me to be able to justify that, then I would take them in a heartbeat. But unfortunately, I can tell that you've worn these shoes out to the point where you just weren't taking care of them. Like, that's on you at that point. I'm so sorry, but I'm not going to take these shoes. So anyways, I called my manager up because he's like, well, I think he throws a fit, right? I'm the manager at this point. Well, I have to call my manager because my girl wasn't going to take them. And I know my girl has a good, set of head on her shoulders. She was trained well. I took her side. I was like, no, I'm sorry, but she's right in not accepting this. So I took her side. And then I asked my manager to come up and, have my back. But nope, they wouldn't. They let this man walk out of there with a brand new pair of shoes. And in addition to that, I told them, you got to get his information so he doesn't continuously return these shoes over and over again. Nope, they just let him take cash for it, and it wasn't in the system. So we need
to go into a whole podcast about that.
Almost $150.
I feel like that's
they're like $100 boots, like they're Timberlands or something, like not cheap.
Well, it makes me think though too of like and I don't know how much that specific situation applies, but have you ever heard of Sam Vimes' theory of economic injustice?
No.
It's called the boots theory.
No.
So
I'm just
I know this is like literally why I was thinking about this, but it has to do with like quality versus quantity in economics sort of, and the way that the poor are pushed towards one end of that and how it like costs them more money over time. So Sam Vimes, VIMES, Boots Theory of Economic Justice, and it basically says, this is like the explanation of it. At the time of Men at Arms, Samuel Vimes earned $38 a month as captain of the watch, plus allowances. A really good pair of leather boots, the sort that would last years and years, cost $50. This was beyond his pocket, and most he could hope for was an affordable pair of boots costing $10, which might, with luck, last a year or so before he would need to resort to makeshift cardboard insoles so as to prolong the moment of shelling out another $10. Therefore, over a period of 10 years, he might have paid out $100 on boots, twice as much as the man who could afford the $50 up front 10 years before, and he would still have wet feet.
It's basically putting into perspective the fact that sometimes if you are able to do something up front, it is more valuable, but if you're not able to, you end up spending more.
Well, and that's like a lot of the toys that Dylan has now. Like going back to like just the whole like I'm buying these high quality wooden handmade toys now. But like what he used to have, like he breaks them sometimes the first day they're played with.
Or they need reusable batteries over and over and over again that you keep having to replace.
That's because capitalist culture and consumer culture that it breeds.
If they have to throw it away and replace it, we got another sale from them.
Yep,
If they have to use batteries, they're going to have to replace those batteries.
And some of them aren't made, they're made cheap, but some of them aren't priced cheap, if they have name brands on them, or they're like
licensed stuff,
Disney,
for sure.
Disney, or like any of the like WWE
and that's what they want them to
stuff.
Want. That's what they're trained to want, to buy, is all the popular stuff, so they want the licensed stuff, mommy.
So they're
open-ended playful things. Yeah. Don't buy into it.
Yes. Let your kids have an imagination of their own.
So many problems.
Okay, so anyways, you kind of went off on a tangent there, which we might be able to,
as usual.
Figure out. But back to rituals. Yeah,
so
you're editing this shit, right?
She's like, God, stop going on rants.
Don't remind me.
But yeah, so my rituals. Am I on me still?
Yes. Yes.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
So I read the book. I like all the other stuff, and then like we just dipped the leaves and beeswax, so like annual rituals, and like that's something I'm really getting into, is just like the time of the year, which for me, like usually autumn is like the time where I like go inward, and like if I all the times that I can think in my life where I did like actually keep to a journal, I usually start it like in the autumn, and like
that makes sense.
that's
kind of
like
hibernation mode.
yeah,
Yes.
like my internal being, which for me is what I've been doing the entire pandemic. So like there's a lot of people that are struggling with the pandemic, and like I feel for that, but like for me, like I've just went inward, and like I've been working on myself, I've been working on my family, I've been doing me stuff, and I've been building and growing like the whole time.
Honestly,
and
I am too. Like, I've looked at it as an opportunity a little bit, because like you say, like if you look at yourself, that's the only
Like,
way to change the world, is if you change yourself.
I'm still super paranoid about the whole pandemic, so I haven't made any like room there. But like with myself, like the time that I've given away from everything else, like it hasn't really been a bad thing.
Yeah.
Right. That's good. I mean,
yeah.
that's a good way to at least you have been able to see the silver lining and benefit in some way, shape, or form from it, because like you say, some people are struggling so badly that they just are stuck, you know?
Yeah.
And rather than being stuck, I mean, you gotta almost just, like you said, internalize and find out something that you can express yourself if you,
And it's been a long time now. It's been, we've been in this 6 or 7 months now.
Yeah, I mean, at least, well,
I
since
think
the beginning
March
of the month.
was when we did the initial shutdowns in,
Oh, was
in
it?
our state.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
So
yeah,
March,
shutdowns.
April, May, June, July, August, September, October. So it's been 7 months of like lockdown, but we've kind of known about it since like February-ish, mid-February maybe.
Right. So it's been over half a year.
Yeah,
That's a long time.
Yeah.
For something like that. I mean,
So many failings.
So like a lot of people were okay with it at first, you know, they were like, okay, let's do this, and then like you lose your stride, because it's like, okay, well, when
How
are we going to see the
long?
light? Like we've been in this tunnel for
A long time.
Ever
I
now.
feel for people,
Yeah.
and I get, like, yeah, we do want to reopen. Yes, we do want to get things rolling again, but at the same time, we have to do it safely. Like, there is
Yeah.
just no other way to go around it. Like,
What I find really sad about it is like if people like if there hadn't been like the pushback against like masks and the social distancing and whatever in the
We'd be a lot
beginning,
further
we could have
along.
shut down and if there was like a coordinated national response, but
Yeah.
he left like our current administration sort of left it piecemeal to the states, which I get to a degree because different places are going to be on different points at different times. But if we had all collectively been like, okay,
this is the
we're going to
plan.
nationally shut down for like 3 weeks,
yeah.
you know, cancel all incoming flights, make sure anybody who's coming into the country mandatory 2 to 3 week, you know, quarantine when they come in, whatever. Like if we
But that's a big thing too. Who's sticking to the quarantines? The people that are going out getting, you know, going to the places that are hot spots anyways,
Yeah.
without masks, they're not going to go in quarantine for 2 weeks after they did that, because they're already not believing in the ethics of social distancing in the first place.
Well, and actually, back to routines / work routines and this whole thing, like, now my work routine literally has changed so much. Like, so when I arrive at work, the first thing is I have to go to my check-in station and get my temperature checked, and then I have to answer whether I have done any traveling, whether I have any new symptoms, and whether I've come into contact with anybody that has COVID. As long as those 3 things are no, then I can go into work. Then I have to go and get my carts, which I have to spray all the sanitizer on,
Yeah.
wipe them all down.
And how safe is this, like, sanitizer that they use, that they're spraying on everything that we're consuming nowadays?
Well, I'm only spraying my cart. I don't spray the products that I stock or anything like that. Those come directly out of the boxes. But
So
in
your
regards-
store doesn't do any, like, fogging or sanitate, like...
They do that at the carts. They do that to the carts up at the front that people have to put their stuff into. So at that level, they're doing the fogging so it can, like, entirely
Okay.
encase the carts. So, and plus there's an area that has airflow at the front that they can actually do that kind of on a more, you know, at a level that it's going to be
Safer,
right,
ventilated
exactly.
better.
So, like, personally, what I do, I'm talking about, like, the stocking carts, like the L carts,
Yeah.
and, like, my little, I call them flat tops, they call them at my work. But anyways, like, I literally have to go to my cart, grab my sanitizer that I have, spray it all down, wipe it all down, and then I go and I get to work, and I go to my equipment, spray all that down, wipe all that down, and then, like, when I go to lunch or a break, I have to sanitize my hands, I have to, like, when I get home, I have to change out all my clothes, I gotta spray the bottom of my shoes, I have to change it. Yeah, I don't shower completely just because I am completely covered with my clothes and my shoes. So I'll wash my hands, make sure, and then I'll wash my face. And then my hair's up the whole time that I'm at work, and I don't really touch much of that. Like, so as long as my hands and my face are clean and my body, then I feel like I'm being safe about it. Because honestly, I feel like it's my responsibility at that point, because I am the only one that really goes out much. Like, I'm the only one that really exposes myself that
Trevor's
badly.
the only one that leaves home. He's working, and he won't come and, like, say hi to us until he's showered and changed clothes, and, like, so...
It sucks because it's like you want to just be in that routine. Like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I get it. I know that people want to just go back to normal. Like, it sucks to have to do all those extra steps and all those extra
But
things.
until we get, like, a vast majority of us being willing to, like, actually do quarantine and wear masks.
masks.
I mean, I think we still have a majority of people that do this, but there's such a large subsection of people that aren't, that it's never going to, it's never going to, I mean, it's never going to go away probably at this point anyway. But if we had, like, quarantined and stuff, like, way earlier, just for a few weeks, we would have been, by and large, back to normal. It might not have been, like, completely normal, but it would have been way more normal than we are now. Yeah, it's sad.
Yeah,
and honestly, I feel like I'm one of the only few people at work that actually does it. Like, I don't see everybody else sanitizing carts. I don't see everybody else doing all of those things. Like, so it's still spreading. I mean, people are still not being safe about it.
Well, there's still restaurants right now. They're not supposed to be doing indoor eating, and there's a lot of them just doing it anyways. Which I don't understand why they can't just continue to do the curbside pickup, the delivery, and, like, I don't...
Instead of making waiters and waitresses, you should figure out some sort of an outlet to where they can now become delivery drivers.
Well, I think with bars in particular, like, so much of their stuff is from alcohol, and they can't deliver that in the way that they have. And so
I've heard bars are the worst, though. The people just, they don't wear
masks. Well, you lose your inhibition when you're drinking, and so you're not going to...
In the slots, are the machines open? They're open until 10, right? Or are the machines not open right now? I'm not sure if
they're open right now or not.
It's dumb if they are, because it's another centralized station to spread germs from. Like, oh my goodness.
That's a whole new episode again. We could just...
everybody can't even do a short-term ritual for all of our well-being.
Yeah, kind of really. But, like, just wash your freaking hands and wear a mask.
I feel like I have the least ritualistic... I mean, like, I do have some rituals, but I'm so, like, I guess...
I'm so structured.
Do you have seasonal, like, things you do that, like, if it's colder outside, you do certain things that you don't do when it's warm, or...
Not really. I stay inside all the time with my air conditioning on way later than most people keep it on.
Do you have a routine of
and you
how
obviously
you
don't have
roll
candles.
Out? Yeah, right.
Well, not at the moment, but yes.
Do you have a routine on how you roll out your, like, material and then grade? Like, a file, like, certain days that you try to aim for to do those things?
Well, yeah, I do give my students some ritual, but, like, by the time it comes back to me, it's not like I have a grading ritual or anything like that, per se. Like, I mean, I guess I have, like, certain criteria that I want them to meet and things like that, but, like...
So, like, as you're grading it, you have sort of a ritual of what you go through as you're grading.
But I don't have any, like, time frame on when I do it or whatever.
Sort of.
I just try and get them back to them in reasonable amounts of time. Like, you know what I mean? So, like...
Go with the flow.
I guess my, like, most routine thing would be, like... I usually will wash my face and brush my teeth before bed. A vast majority of days. Like, if I'm, like, super tired or something, I might miss a day or whatever.
I'm bad about washing my face and stuff before bed, honestly.
I wash my face in the shower, and that's pretty much the only time I wash my face.
Me
and,
too.
like, so I don't shower every day. I only wash my face on days I shower. That's, you know.
I don't wash my face every day.
But I don't put makeup on. Like, I don't really put things on my face to wash off.
I don't put a lot on my face. I do eye stuff.
Yeah, that's
which I do have to wash that off.
Most of the time.
I feel like I have a routine for everything. It's so funny because I was like, oh yeah, I don't have
because you're a matter-of-factly girl.
Yeah. I really am anymore. Like, oh my gosh, like I have a whole routine. Like
Ooh, the storm is a-coming.
Ooh, thunder.
I feel like you would have done really good in military life.
I mean, maybe.
You're very
structured. Like,
Yeah.
give me an assignment and I will do it. No, I'm just kidding.
So it's so funny because
I'm
I
not
feel like
compliant though. Like I am. I shouldn't say that I'm not because I really am. But I'm trying to resist my compliant attitude.
Well, I feel like for me, I probably need structure, but I resist it so much because I like to be a little bit more free in like the way that I do things and whatever. Which is so funny because it does for encounter, like I say, to some of my trauma response stuff. Like I need to know, like, if I'm gonna go out somewhere or do something, and even this is even pre-pandemic life, if I know I'm going to go out somewhere, I need to know who's going to be there, what's going to go on there, like, you know what I mean?
Know
like,
as much details as you can beforehand.
I like to have some flexibility in if and when I go. Like,
I'm especially like that, like 100% though, if I'm not the one driving.
Yes.
If someone is picking me up and not telling me where we're going or who's going to be at the place we're going to, like, my anxiety and my PTSD, like, I feel like I'm being kidnapped. I start sweating. I panic. I want out of the car. I can't do that. I have to know details.
Yeah. And, like, I guess other than that, like, I have to watch at least 1 or 2 episodes of something before I go to bed. I will usually lay there forever when I go to bed. So I guess those are kind of rituals or habits or whatever you want to call them.
I know you're a big reader. Do you read on like certain patterns? Like,
I guess the only thing consistent about my reading is I'm always like into like several things at once. And this is of course made worse by the fact that I'm writing my dissertation. So like, so I'm always like have my nose in like 10,000 different things.
Your personal things that you want to be into, and then you have things that you have to be into because you're kind of needing to.
Well, kind of that, but like I always have multiple reads going at a time. Like I don't like just like read through a book for the most part.
Yeah.
I'll like read a few chapters of this, I'll read a few chapters of that. That isn't to say like if there's like a book that I'm reading personally just for like entertainment value. Like, I mean, when we went through like the Harry Potter series, I mean, I would stay up all freaking night like to finish a book, you know what I mean? Like, and I've done that on several occasions, and that's actually made easier sometimes with audiobooks and like my having it on like 3 times the speed or whatever.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can get like through, I mean, when I was studying for my field exams for my PhD, like there was that summer where I was like reading through like a bunch of books. And like there were times like I get through like 2 to 3 novels a day because of the way that I had set that up.
I feel like that would have like helped me be a better reader as a child, because like when I was a kid I didn't read Harry Potter because when I tried to I struggled so hard pronouncing things and like understanding what they were supposed to mean. And like if I had the audio and the book in front of me at the same time, I feel like I probably could have connected with the content a lot better.
Yeah.
And
that's like the only way I can connect to it anymore, like honestly.
I'm getting into reading now. Like
that's good.
I understand things now. Look at me being grown.
Like as of late, like I remember when I was growing up, I was very I shouldn't say against reading, but it's just like Marilyn and Scott, you guys have always been readers, and you know me, I've just never been a reader.
Older siblings and their overachievement.
Yeah, like they're all good at school and stuff. Like what's up with that? So, but basically, I've come to learn that you know what, the more books you read, like every single one of them has just such not every one of them has such valuable information, but if you if you read a book with an open mind and you try to
if you intently seek the books
but there are so
out
many
that you
books
want
that you could get value from.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I'll listen to a book with the intent of just listening to it, but then I'll love it so much and I'm like, I want a physical copy of it, and then I'll get the physical copy of it, and then I'll listen to it again with the physical copy of it. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is great. And I've noticed that a lot of times when I get the physical copy of it and I'm reading along, that there is extra content in the physical copy that they do not actually say in the audio. On some occasions, not all the time. But
depends what you buy, what versions of...
and what you listen to, right?
Yeah. So, for like I'm looking at my notes and like, I don't even know if I mentioned that like, for me, like when I think of like the whole aspect of a ritual in general, like we were talking a lot about intent. Like, so like it's something that I put intent into if it's something that I consider a ritual, I guess, like and like we've touched on like obviously things that I just do automatically that are probably could be rituals that I'm not even thinking of, but it's like a habit. It's a ritual. To me, my rituals are ones that I put my intent to or my intuition, which I feel like I need to listen to my intuition a lot more, because every time that like when I got into crystals, I wasn't buying, like, researching ones that I needed, like, I just went to the store and bought the ones that I resonated with, and then I'd go home and like
Find
see
out
what
what
they
they were.
healed, and those were the broken parts of my life. And I was like,
That's
what?
interesting. You know what? It's funny,
Like-
funny that you say that, because like when I was talking about how I was researching them too, I think that is kind of how I did it too, because I would always go to the shops and I'd always find which ones I really, really liked. And then, when I got home, I'd be like, well, what is this? Well, what is that? And then you look it up. I didn't necessarily at the time correlate that, okay, these are the ones that I actually need to seek out and that they are going to
intuition.
heal me. I mean, maybe it was, and I just didn't realize it because I wasn't as in tune with my intuition.
Yeah. Well, like my whole home birth, like I think I followed my intuitions like so well that like that's how it was so smoothly. Like I knew when he was going to come, because like Trevor was so busy getting everything ready and like doing all the stuff, and like he was making sure all the dishes were clean, and like he was doing laundry because we still haven't washed all the towels that we were going to like need for cleanup like during and after the birth. So he's doing laundry, and he set up the whole pool while I was laboring, and like he ran me a bath because I got into that before the pool was ready. But at some point he like came and he just stood in front of me and he's like, do you need anything else? And I'm like, dude, I just need you to be next to me. Like, and like it was like 20 minutes after that he was born. So I'm like, I knew like that it was like, this is the time for you to like, you just need to be here.
You just stop, just stop and be here with me in this moment. Oh, that is so awesome. Well, and honestly, I wonder if having the ritual baths maybe helped when you went into your labor, having that.
Well, yeah, that was
already
kind of
bringing
the
yourself
intent
to
of the
that
water
state.
birth was like,
You can bring yourself back to that state even when you are feeling the pain of the labor. I think it's
I did a lot of
meditation is
baths
a very
when I was
strong
pregnant,
thing.
so
I have to vouch for meditation because it's strong, man. Once you can find that center.
So like speaking on that, the night before I went into labor, because I went into labor, it was like 4:00 in the morning, but that night I listened to a guided deep meditation like podcast that I found, and my intuition again, like I just felt like I was going to have trouble sleeping that night. And like, it wasn't a thing that I have ever done before. I don't listen to like meditation podcasts. I've tried it a couple times in the bath, like, but it's usually like, what is this bullshit? And then I put music on, you know? Yeah, it's usually like, what is this? Like raindrops in like the forest, and like I'm going to put my music on now. And I don't follow through with it. But like I listened to one, and maybe if I can find it, I can link it into this. But I listened to that, and I woke up in labor. Like, you know, like I don't remember falling asleep or how long I listened to it for. But like I put that podcast on and laid down, and like I woke up and like I was already in labor, and then he was there in less than like 5 hours, which was in like almost pain-free labor. So
that is so awesome.
So I was so relaxed, like, and like, because I just listened to my body and what I felt like I needed. And
so your ritual sort of really helped you get through that experience.
Yeah, I feel like that's a lot of the rituals I do, though, is I just listen to my feelings and intuitions, and like I put intent into them, into serving my feelings and intuitions.
I think that's a really healthy way to look at ritual in general, I think.
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny because I was actually just going to say kind of the same thing. Like, I feel like that's what I almost do with my reshaping of my habits, I guess. Mm-hmm. Because I almost put my intent on them. You know what I mean? Like, whereas I didn't before. Like, I wasn't very focused with my intentions and my actions at one point in my life. I was just kind of like, I would go with the flow, but without intention. I still want to go with the flow to a degree. I don't want to just have every single
But you want to like
structured.
Be meaningful.
Yeah, I want to be at least going in the direction that I am choosing to go in, not just aimlessly wandering kind of without
I think that's perhaps a good way to wrap up this conversation about ritual, you know.
It's like purpose in life.
With us to give the sort of advice to our fellow Coven members that, you know, if you're going to have ritual in your life, make sure it's meaningful for you, that it has intention, and that it brings something more to you than, you know, just the habit of doing it, you know, like, or whatever.
Like, yes. I think that's something that was society, but yeah, like, like they make your own habits, do it for yourself. And like, that's how it's easier to stick to, because like, do it for your own well-being and not because it looks like that's the life you should be living.
I think then let's go ahead and wrap up. I know we made predictions about our candles sort of like in jest, but probably kind of also serious earlier. Yeah. But I think we also wanted to do kind of as part of one of the rituals around this. Predictions again. So
Closing ritual.
predictions. This is our closing ritual. So what are your predictions, or a prediction from each of us?
Oh, I predict that my boobs are gonna leak any second. I just adjusted them, and as soon as they felt that like brush of my t-shirt against them, they're like, "Oh, we need to make the milkies now." So yeah,
I predict it's gonna take me like 7 hours to edit this.
Oh, sorry, squirrel. Literally, though, but like, you keep getting distracted by your squirrels.
Okay, Susie, what's
So,
yours?
the one that I had already pre-picked out, which is still a little bit lame, is I predict that Aunt Bev's room will be painted by the next time we get together.
Ooh.
Let's see how that goes.
Or would we
That's
have
rich.
to? Or would it have to be us getting together to paint her room?
I mean, would that not
Could
be
be.
a fair prediction? That came through that? No, I'm just kidding.
Could be.
I mean, the next time we got together,
We could.
we'll have to.
We'll have to ask her how
Okay.
her schedule looks and stuff, but yeah.
Well, we'll have to see how we do on these predictions next time we come back. We should like create a spreadsheet to like track these and
Yeah.
track our progress.
Our fails. Well,
and
my
our
boobs are
fails and
leaking,
wins.
so there's
So
one for
that-
me.
Cha-ching, got it right.
Where's my coffee mug?
So I guess with that, we'll just thank our coven out there for joining us for our long ass, very tangent filled conversations.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
ask you to hopefully come back next week and
Check out what other
Check us
tangent-filled conversations
out.
we come up with.
follow us on our sites. This episode again has been brought to you by thenerdboutique.com.
That's right.
TheNerdBoutique.com.
I mean, if you guys ever want to sponsor a video with one of your websites,
I mean, mine's not
work in
up and running
progress.
yet.
Yeah,
I was
to
gonna say.
be announced.
To be announced
Yes.
later. Our other side hustles. All right,
But for real, we
everyone.
create great things.
Birth
We
services.
keep trying. So, thank you so much for listening. We do hope to see you back next week with us. And until then,
Blessed be.
blessed be.
Be.
Thank you for tuning in to part 2 of our conversation on rituals, routines, and habits. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. And join our coven by following us on our social media channels. You can find us on Twitter @MidwestCoven, Instagram and Facebook with @MidwestCovenCast, or visit our website, MidwestCovenCast.com. See you next time, and blessed be.